Historically, the pulp and paper industry has been anxious to adopt cost-saving techniques, but a cautious approach towards new technology is usually justified. With this in mind, Belzona's polymeric repair materials have been used very successfully over the past 46 years to solve the industry's serious concerns regarding erosion and corrosion. Conventional repairs can result in significant downtime losses and reduction in plant efficiency. Alternative repairs, consisting of high-performance polymeric repair materials, have been used to successfully minimize or eliminate these problems, in turn saving these facilities millions of dollars in the process. At a time when capital dollars are tight for pulp and paper companies throughout the world, maintenance of mill equipment becomes even more important. Rather than replace expensive equipment or absorb the price of an unscheduled shutdown, mill operators are constantly using Belzona as a cost-effective means of solving their mill maintenance problems. Belzona's coating and rebuilding materials have been used to stop the cycle of erosion-corrosion, prevent unscheduled shutdowns, restore operating pressure, inhibit stock contamination, and even provide a safer working environment around many fast-moving pieces of equipment. In fact, the Belzona consultant is often regarded as an integral part of the mill's maintenance team. From tree to paper, there are roughly 11 areas in the pulp and paper making process. Each of these processes will vary according to the type and age of the plant and the products being produced. However, all have taken advantage of Belzona's polymeric materials. Some areas, like the woodyard, mainly suffer from abrasion, and the resulting wear requires costly repetitive maintenance. Whatever the service, the Belzona consultant will be able to provide you with a cost-effective solution to many of your mill maintenance problems. This flywheel-type chipper disc requires proper speed and maintenance of the knives to produce satisfactory chips. As you can see, the wood is very abrasive and has severely worn away the profile of the chipper pocket. The entire repair usually requires a full-time welder and costs in excess of $7,000. Alternatively, the pockets have been rebuilt and coated with an abrasion-resistant polymeric Belzona material. The repair is designed to rebuild to specifications, the eroded pocket profile, and then effectively resurface the area to provide protection against abrasion, as well as the required finish. All the pockets can be rebuilt and coated, and the assembly cured in under 1/2 day without added heat stresses to the unit. Depending on the diameter of these discs, replacement costs can easily exceed $15,000. Typical applications are durable enough to last 4 years with continual use, and annual touch-ups of high-wear areas are recommended. Maintaining a positive grip system on products as they travel through the production path of the mill can help ensure that production is not interrupted. Traditionally, fluting, rubber lagging, or profiled metal surfaces such as diamond plate are regularly polished, producing lost efficiency through the loss of grip or drive. Belzona's polymeric grip system is a very versatile and efficient system, easily applied to most surfaces without dismantling the equipment. This application process helps reduce slipping and maintenance costs associated with equipment replacement. It has been said that this alone can save the mill about 10% in time and has reduced the use of the picaroon from 3 times per hour to 3 times per shift. This know-how system works equally well for drive rollers on conveyor belting, where slippage, belt wear, and process interruptions are an ongoing concern. In contrast, the cooking area is constantly affected by a highly aggressive and corrosive environment. The protection of structures and equipment subject to destruction by chemical attack has long been a problem throughout the mill. For more than 4 decades, the industry has looked to Belzona's expertise to achieve maximum protection against the rigorous demands of this system. This 30-foot by 10-foot recycling drum suffered from galvanic corrosion along the welded baffles. This drum operates at a pH of 10 and a temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. After only 3 years, this $9 million unit had 70% of its 2,500 feet of liner weld corroded. At a downtime cost of $250,000 per day, Belzona was used to rebuild and protect the internal structures of the drum. After only 72 hours, the drum was completely protected against the harsh chemical environment and capable of withstanding the introduction of the occasional foreign object as well as other abrasive elements. As we move further downstream of the pulping process, we come to the screening section. In most pulp and paper mills, some type of stock screening is required to remove oversized, troublesome, and unwanted particles from good paper-making fibers. With this in mind, all screening mechanisms are under constant attack from erosion and corrosion. and the critical aspects of maintaining flow and consistency is sometimes compromised. In fact, of all the areas in the mill, this screening section perhaps benefits the most from the use of Belzona's high-performance polymeric materials. This pump is the largest pump in the entire paper machine system, and the demands on it are very exacting. Unfortunately, these units are often overlooked, and neglect can lead to an unscheduled shutdown. In this case, the 4-year-old primary fan pump had suffered severe damage to the casing, cut water, stuffing box, wear ring seats, and even the entire rotor assembly. In fact, the replacement cost is in excess of $60,000. In this particular case, the pump was brought back to tolerances with Belzona's abrasion-resistant rebuilding and coating-grade materials. These compounds are entirely resistant to pulp stock, and after 10 years of uninterrupted service, has twice required only minor touch-ups. Alternatively, the primary fan pump would have been replaced 3 times since 1986, costing the company over $180,000. Pulp and paper mills usually receive pallet loads of knife gate valves because of their frequent use and the abrasive environment they are in. Typical problems associated with pulp and paper service are corrosion, flashing, plugging, cavitation, noise, vibration, and seat leakage. Here we can see new packing being poured into the stuffing box area. This 100% solid elastomeric material will not shrink upon cure and forms a perfect seal for the knife. The packing follower remains on top to contain the sealant and has stopped pulp stock from leaking for over 3 years under continuous cycling. This Belzona repair is more cost-effective than Teflon packing and can be easily repaired without complete valve disassembly. In the pulp and paper mills, storage of fiber stock is necessary at appropriate points in the process to provide surge capacity and allow for interruptions in either supply or demand. These chests are usually tile-lined. However, as you can see here, the concrete ceiling has been severely spalled by whitewater chemical attack. In this case, the loose grout and concrete contaminated the stock and caused concerns regarding pulp quality. In order to solve this chemical attack problem, minimize downtime, and avoid the cost of replacement, Belzona's lightweight concrete rebuilding and screeding materials were used to restore the structure's integrity. This material is non-porous and will not allow chemicals to deteriorate the concrete or the rebar underneath. After completing this repair, the approach system was no longer contaminated by concrete impurities. Interestingly enough, tile inside similar storage vessels have in fact been repointed using this technology, far outlasting conventional grouting materials. Not only did this mill have problems with their high-density storage chests below, but processed chemicals were also attacking the structure from above. This sulfuric acid mixing station chemically degraded the concrete and was contaminating the paper-making stock below. Today, environmental compliance with local and federal regulations is mandatory, and even small deviations can result in costly oversights. With this in mind, Belzona's highly cross-linked, chemically resistant coating was used to seal the concrete and prevent further ingress of liquid. This polymeric coating material is capable of resisting sulfuric acid up to 98% concentration under fully immersed conditions, saving this mill the expense of dealing with acid contamination of the stock, as well as contributing to the degradation of the underlying soil. The massive dryer section is the most expensive part of the paper machine in terms of capital costs. It is also the most costly to operate in terms of energy requirements. In actuality, the paper drying process is a very simple one of receiving sensible heat from the dryer cylinder and then flashing it off. However, when downtime occurs in this section of the mill, the costs are usually in excess of $10,000 per hour and can be as high as $100,000 per hour. This corroded vacuum rotor was unable to provide adequate vacuum pumping in a small recycling mill in Italy. The repairs were completed with Belzona's abrasion-resistant rebuilding and coating-grade materials. Following the repair and balancing, the rotor was put back into service and protected from future attack from carryover. This saved the mill the replacement cost of $15,000. In fact, the rebuilt rotor is not only as good as new, but better. The following is an excellent example of what happens to a pillow block bearing on a dryer journal shaft when you have a loss of lubrication or contamination. This large pulp and paper mill in Austria had exactly that problem, and conventional repairs would have cost the mill in excess of $185,000 in related downtime costs. Alternatively, the repair was completed without taking out the dryer journal shaft and avoided the need for expensive disassembly. Belzona's two-component paste-grade metal repair material was used to rebuild the shaft to the proper outside diameter. Using Belzona's forming technique, the entire repair was done in 5.5 hours, saving this mill well over $100,000. This repair was completed in 1996 and is still in service today. Finally, after drying, the paper product must be conveniently collected and shipped out to the customer. This part of the mill is often the cleanest. However, certain problems do exist, and Belzona has been used to provide long-lasting solutions even in this relatively favorable environment. In this mill in Mississippi, the calendar stack floor area became a safety concern, especially around fast-moving equipment. Oil, water, pulp, and paper were being introduced onto the working surface, which created a very slippery environment. Belzona's grip system was used to provide a safe, non-skid surface. This coating can be put down in a variety of designs. It has been resistant to mill traffic and process chemicals since 1987. Other systems have been tried, but none were able to satisfactorily provide an effective solution. Only Belzona has proven to stand up to this harsh environment and virtually eliminates the possibility of slipping. Great lengths of belts contribute to the enormous amounts of solids that must be continually moved throughout the mill. Recently, a new PVC lap joint on a conveyor belt handling finished rolls of chemical cellulose disbonded and was temporarily laced together with leather to delay complete failure. The nearest vulcanizer was located over 3 hours away in Tampa, Florida, and this mill in Jacksonville couldn't wait for the conventional repair. A permanent repair was made with Belzona's quick-curing elastomeric rebuilding compound. The repair was completed during lunch hour, preventing a costly downtime. Without the use of Belzona, this mill would have had to shut down the entire finishing department. In fact, 1 year later, this material is still providing the necessary adhesion, and continuous belt operation under tension has not contributed at all to joint deterioration. The bulk of the water removal from the black liquor is accomplished in the multiple effect evaporators. The major advantage is the high steam economy and energy recovery. However, the black liquor and the different metals used in the materials of construction results in galvanic or bimetallic corrosion. In April of 1991, a pulp and paper mill in British Columbia, Canada had grooves eroded and corroded around the tubes in excess of 1/8 of an inch. In this case, leaks had developed between the stainless steel tubes, the mild steel tube sheet face, contaminating the process steam. Belzona's densely cross-linked heat-resistant polymeric coating material has been used to successfully eliminate this process of erosion corrosion of the substrate. This entire procedure was completed without added heat stresses and the introduction of dissimilar metal components. In contrast, both of these issues would be present if conventional welding techniques were employed. Subsequent development of leaks between the tubes and the tube sheet face have been non-existent for over 36 months. Without preventative maintenance measures, operators are eventually forced to bear the cost of retubing these large units, which is over $800,000. Corrosion of carbon steel and craft white liquor is a chronic problem extensively studied. Corrosion rates for stainless steel are generally much lower than carbon steel. However, coupled with erosion, this material of construction exhibits failure in a relatively short period of time. In order to combat this cycle of degradation, these mills all use Belzona to restore critical equipment and fittings to better than their original state. History has shown that taking advantage of this leading-edge technology will provide cost-effective solutions to mill maintenance problems. Actually, we can assist you with engineering solutions and address the root cause of the problem, instead of just treating the symptoms. So, how can we help you?